been a hot sec, has it not? Let me drink some water. Water! I don't know why I said it like that. I'm not even American. I like to drink out of something that's copper because I went to India and there was this guy who said that if you drink out of something copper, then you'll be really healthy. You'll never have any sort of disease because I believe copper is supposed to be really good for you. So I like to put water in here and let it soak for a bit and then drink it. Okay, so I've been away for a while, which means that I've had the opportunity to read, right? And kind of just spend time by myself, and you know, learning. Self-inquiry has been something that has been something that I've been delving into, and specifically due to this book that I'm reading by Robert Adams. So Robert Adams was very into Advaita Vedanta, which is about non-duality. Let me get it up because I'm not actually sure, because I don't think he specifically goes into it. Okay, what is Advaita Vedanta about? Yeah, let's see. Where's my other phone? Oh, it's here. Okay, sorry, let me just kind of clean. Okay. So Advaita Vedanta. I need to. Okay, I'll put it like this. Yeah, so it's one of the most profound schools of Indian philosophy, and it's all about non-duality. So Advaita means not two, non-dual. Vedanta means the end of the Vedas. Oh, it's the philosophical teaching found in the Upanishads. So it teaches that there is one ultimate reality, Brahman, pure infinite consciousness. The individual self, the Atman, is not separate from Brahman. In fact, Atman equals Brahman. So the things that I learned about what Robert Adams was trying to teach. So Robert Adams became enlightened at a very young age. I believe maybe when he was about 12. You know, but he was always very spiritually inclined when he was younger. Well, look at this. I know, I'm back. I'm so sorry I've been away for a while, but Return of the Dragon, indeed. I'm here. And yeah, so I've been delving into Robert Adams. So became enlightened very, very young. And he teaches in a way that really aligned with me, because you know, he almost says, I don't know why I even speak, as in like why he even speaks, because there is only so much that you can communicate through language. Because when we are trying to talk about Good Morning Sadhguru was one of the most recent ones about copper properties. Okay, was he? Right, fair enough. I think it's maybe very old like knowledge as well also. But I love it. I love drinking out of it. Much better than a plastic bottle, right? But yeah, so the things that Robert Adams was teaching has kind of changed the way that I'm going about life. Okay, wait, did you hear about the 41 people stamped news in Tamil Nadu? I do not listen to the news. Because the news is always bad news, right? It's never good news of, look, how many people, you know, did this or that, or look what great things happened here, look what great things happened here. It's usually about this catastrophe, so I just don't get involved in the news. I stay far away from it. It doesn't make you feel good. It affects your vibration, and the things that you watch, you have to be super careful about. Like, for example, recently, why do people get so obsessed with a human being? Well, it depends. Who was this person that they got obsessed with? Because a lot of times, for example, when like staying in this realm of spirituality, when there is someone who tends to have a lot of knowledge, Like, for example, Osho, right? I decided to watch a documentary about Osho because he intrigues me. I love his work, so I wanted to know more about the person himself. And then it was a documentary that was very biased, you could say. It was, he's a cult leader, he's a sex guru kind of thing, and they were coming at it from that angle. Um and yeah, it was interesting because, of course, I love his teachings, but that doesn't mean that I agree with everything. Because what usually happens is, like, let's say you come here and you watch this channel and you're like, oh my god, Priya talks a lot of sense. Priya is talking about this and these things, and I really resonate with the concepts she's discussing and about God and about how to live life and be, happy and stuff. Let me just worship Priya. But the thing is, I could, just because I have some things that have helped you in your life, doesn't mean that everything I do and say now is worthy of worship. Hey, Greg, good to see you. Does that make sense? So, like, for example, I was going to talk about Gandhi, but I'm not really a big fan of Gandhi at all. But look, in, like, for example, okay, people like Gandhi, Martin Luther King, right? They came and yeah, they did some things. Maybe we won't get into the details, but everybody has different sides of them, right? It's Gandhi's birthday today. Oh crap! Look at that. Day 440 of asking to see your tattoo. Oh my god, she's hidden away. She's hidden away. Absolutely. So yeah, so people, just because someone can teach you something, right, doesn't mean that you have to take that person and be like, okay, I'm gonna hold on to you now. I'm gonna worship you. You're everything and you're God. Because one thing that kind of confused me, that perplexed me about Gandhi was, I mean, sorry, Osho, was that, okay, he to me was an incredibly intelligent person, right, and an enlightened being because of the things that he discussed. But the whole, like, making everybody who came to, like, get knowledge from you, making them wear a mala with your face on it, was interesting to me. Can't stop to look at it. Oh, thank you. They're very Indian-y, right? Very traditional Indian jhumka style. But yeah, it was because surely it's a very egotistical thing to make everybody wear a picture of you. Because when you're a guru or something like that, I would suspect that you're above these things. You're above materialistic things, right? Not that you do, not that I'm not telling you to shun them out, because of course you can enjoy material things in this lifetime, right? But it's about how much emphasis you place on them. Are you like obsessed with them? Do they become everything that you think about? Is your whole journey now about accumulating these things to look a certain way, to have a certain level of prestige? Because, like I always say, winning in this lifetime is like winning at Monopoly. It's fake. This is all a dream. This isn't even real. And I want to go into the let me just shut the window. Hang on, sorry. Yeah. Okay. All right. I want to go into the teachings of Robert Adams. So, usually, of course, things like meditation, mantras are important. Strange, nothing about that. We're all wearing one. Oh my god. That would be so weird if you had malas with my face on it. Oh my god, I don't know how to react. To be honest, okay, you know what? Okay, now it does make sense a little bit, Greg, because I started the course, Ben's course, right? Ben Smith's course, and he was saying that when you were meditating for preparation, that you can have a picture of your divine master or your guru or something. So I get that. So if it's like that, okay, I get it because you get inspiration. There's a certain amount of energy. So okay, cool. And you want to see the there we go. It's really interesting because they're both looking forward, but if you look at it, you can see that you can see the side profile as well. Does that make sense? You know what? These spiritual teachers all do weird things like that. It's so weird, right? And the last few rounds of Monopoly is always so monotonous, right? It just gets really boring, and I feel like maybe that's what Life probably gets like a little bit when we keep coming back. But I mean, okay, Robert Adams is very like, he talks in a completely different way regarding these things. But yeah, having a photo of someone you look up to is good. Okay, please say Ayush. Ayush loves Ria. Okay, interesting. You look out. Thank you, Rahul. Do you believe in Feng Shui? I do. Hello, Priya. Long time no see. Hi, Banu. Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome. I know it's been a while. I'm so happy to be here. Oh my god, honestly, recently, because I've not had a chance to come on live, and I don't know, because my period is supposed to be coming up too, so I'm in my luteal phase. So I was thinking, do I feel low energy? So it's not low as in like I'm feeling sad, but it's not, it's like, it's not like I'm feeling high or low. I'm feeling neutral, which is probably a good thing, but I don't know, it's weird. Maybe it's because I haven't been channeling my creativity. Okay, I need to sneeze. Oh yeah, it's not coming. How's my Xerox copy? She's well. Happy the setter. Thank you. Could you tell me a little bit about the setter? I'm not really sure what they celebrate. I think they burn something? Thank you. Oh god. Ria loves Ayush. I'm not saying that 10 times. No, thank you. So, okay, on to more pressing matters. Beyond Ria loves Ayush. I don't know how that's going to help anything. Can I know the psychology behind that, please? Like, why do you want me to say that? It's very interesting. So yeah, Robert Adams. He was saying that there is no effort needed to do anything. Like, you don't need to meditate. Like, you can meditate, but to get to a state of, it's really confusing. I don't know how to explain it, because he's, you know, it depends at which stage you're at in your journey, because he'll say to people who kind of need to hear this, like he'll lie to them. He mentions this, you know, he says he'll lie to them and say, okay, you just have to just do these things and then you can get there. But the people who are kind of beyond that level, he'll just say, okay, you should just know that there is nothing to attain, there is nothing to awaken, because who you are, like your big self, is not asleep. Does that make sense? Like, so we're all trying to awaken, right? We're all trying to go through in a way, okay, maybe not all of us, but you know, the kind of ideas that I like sharing here are based around advancing your consciousness, because as human beings, you are now conscious, right? So you are responsible for elevating your consciousness. You are no longer an animal. Animals tend to be unconscious, right? They have a different level of consciousness than we do. So this means that, you know, they are seen as a species, right? Animals are bunched up as a species, and humans aren't, right? That's why you don't know specific animals as much as you do humans. So humans have an ability to further their consciousness. They have a responsibility to do that. There is no way that you can return to unconsciousness. But we try to return to unconsciousness when we get, you know, blacked out drunk, when we take drugs, when we participate in behavior that is very unconscious, i.e. very driven by your subconscious and your habits. Does that make sense? So it could be addictions, it could be you know, escaping behaviors. Does it make sense? So, you know, everybody has a responsibility to work on their consciousness. But what Robert says is that you can get to the stage of where you ascend your consciousness by self-inquiry, by looking at who the I is, because most of your sentences will contain I, me, or mine, right? I am Priya. This is my YouTube live. Me. You know, I can't think of a sentence with me in it, but me. But yeah, let me see the notes. We can structure it well. Yeah, let me see. Okay. Okay, so what Robert says is that we are superimpositions on the screen of life. Like when you go to the cinema, you forget that it's a screen and you identify with the images. Should you try to grab the images, you see that they don't really exist. It's just a screen. Um, we are the screen. So consciousness is the screen. So who are you? So you have the personal I. So my personal I would be, I am Priya. I am this, I'm 28. I live in England. Um, this is my YouTube live. I'm a life coach, blah, 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 right? That's my personal I. But is that who I truly am? Is that my truth? If we really dig deeply, because the universe is an optical illusion. It sounds crazy, but it is. Because, okay, it's an optical illusion. Why? If I zoom into me, if I zoom into my phone, if I zoom into this book, right, what do I see? We go in, we'll get a microscope and I'll zoom in and then I'll see atoms. And then what will I see? Then I'll see subatomic particles, right? Then what will I see? Then I'll see energy waves. And then what will I see? Then I'll see empty space. So everything at its core is empty space. So everything at its core is nothingness. This is why silence, like for example, Greg, when I started learning about meditation through Ben's course, which is the course that you can join. I just started it, so I can't tell you much. That much I haven't kind of gone into it in depth yet, but I will be. But yeah, it's a meditation course, and he mostly focuses on silence. You know why? Because when you become silent, right? When your thoughts begin to decrease, then you become empty. And emptiness is the reality of the universe. There is nothing that exists. We are nothingness. So, it's really interesting because there was a video that I watched of Osho, and there was this guy interviewing him, and he said, who is God? Where is God? And he said, there is no God. And it was really interesting because I was like, why is he saying that? Of course there's a God. But it makes sense because there is no God, because there is nothing that exists. Does that make sense? Consciousness is beyond time and space. It's beyond matter. So when we think of it existing, we think that it exists in terms of matter, but it doesn't exist. So nothing really exists. It's a really interesting concept. Let me know if you have any questions about that. Yeah, everything is space beyond the atoms and the subatomic particles and energy waves. Only space exists. Nothing comes from consciousness. Everything is consciousness. As long as you live in this world, you go through the law of cause and effect, which is like a pendulum, swinging from one side to another. So, these concepts are hard to explain, right? This is why he says, language is limiting. He's like, I don't even know why I'm talking. And like I said, it's something that I question myself. Why do you even talk? Because everything I say is hypocritical. Everything I say can be misconstrued. Everything I say will change in the next moment. Maybe I haven't worded it properly. Maybe the person hasn't heard it properly. Maybe I learned something new. Does that make sense? So everything I'm saying here is kind of pointless. These concepts are hard to explain. They are hard to explain. I have a lot of questions about this, but would take many lifetimes to answer. It would. Greg, I think it would take lifetimes to answer using language. I think silence, which I know it doesn't make sense to people. How can you learn through silence? But meditation is essentially becoming silent, right? It's because who you really are is silent, right? Your nothingness. So when that nothingness just observes, it sees everything. So when I would meditate or I would be repeating mantra, I would be more aware, right, of my thoughts. And then I would see the thoughts and be like, whoa, whoa, Priya, we're thinking that. Okay, cool. It's like not judging, but like the awareness would see it. And then I'm like, okay, cool. And then another thought, I'm like, okay, cool. And I don't have to create a language to discuss it or to judge it. I just get to observe it. And that is the highest intelligence that you can have, where you don't analyze anything. You can just observe without judging, without labeling, without categorizing. Going beyond the mind with the mind, right? It's not possible to go beyond. I mean, it is, because what he says is self-inquire. So now every time I have a thought like, oh, I should really go YouTube live. Okay, maybe not that one. What else? It will say, oh, I feel really tired. Like I kept saying to myself today, I feel really tired. I feel really tired. Then I said, Priya, who is this I? Because it is the personal I that feels tired. It is Priya, the story, that can feel tired. It is my mind or my body, right? So when you say I, like I want to go YouTube live, I am happy, I am sad, I am energized, I am feeling good today. It is the mind or the body, right? It's coming from the mind, like my body is feeling good today, right? Or it's coming from the mind, like I'm feeling happy today because something happened. When you go beyond the mind and the body, you touch on that which is infinite, that which is you, like your true nature, and that can never feel tired, that can never feel happy, it doesn't feel sad, it doesn't feel energized, it doesn't feel passionate, it doesn't feel in love, it doesn't feel grateful, it feels nothing. That's what she's with. Opinions can change. Opinions can always change. Awareness is like the roots. The deeper it goes, the higher the heights of experience one may reach. Awareness fluctuates between isolation and oneness. Wow. Pain, bliss, and lack thereof. I use the next with up. I'm not sure who that is. Missed you. $1 million. Oh, I'm godly. Thank you. Do I love you? I love everybody. I am everybody. But how would I feel tired when I'm tired? But how would I feel tired when I'm tired? It was really interesting when I asked myself, who is it that actually feels tired? Because as soon as I step back from, whoa, Priya, the body and the mind that's claiming that she's tired, and back into this, like, I always liken it to like stepping back. It kind of feels like that, like stepping back from like personal Priya and like, okay, Priya as consciousness, you can't feel tired. And then I didn't really feel anything when I'm connected to her, right? Which feels like it wouldn't be a great place to be. We're so addicted to feeling things. We're so addicted to extremes that I used to think that feeling nothing wouldn't be so blissful, but it is the most blissful place to be. How many hours do I spend on exercise per day? Yeah, no personal. Probably not as much as I should, to be honest. Recently. How will you define Marcus Aurelius by your term? He was a Stoic philosopher that I like. It's like getting drunk. You are sober of the fact that your mind is getting drunk. If it's like getting drunk, you're sober of the fact that your mind is getting drunk. Very true. That's very true. The mind just goes on and on and on and on and on. Yeah, it's such a hard thing to put into language, but when you find those true moments of silence and meditation, that's when a deeper realization of comes about. It's so hard to write about what I mean here. I get it. I completely get it. How can you explain something? It's like, for example, let's say you witness your child being born, right? How can you truly explain in language what that felt like? Because how can you explain in language a feeling? A feeling is a feeling. It's something to be felt. It is not something to be described. And maybe, we need to just talk less and just be more and be silent and be still. So that's one thing I've been doing recently. I've been with the self-inquiry, so I was like, you know what, Priya, it's okay. I'm gonna give you a break. So I'm not gonna force you to, I'm not gonna put pressure on you to feel like you need to meditate. You know why? Because it came to me. Meditation can be kind of an isolating thing, right? Like, of course, it sets you up for your day. You know, I feel different. I feel more aware. But if I can get to stages of high awareness through self-inquiry, because self-inquiry means that I am aware all the time. Sorry, it's getting hot. You know, so when I have thoughts, I'll be like, oh, okay, who's this I, Priya? Who is this? Is this the personal I, or is this the actual you? Like, and then it just makes me just take a step back and be like, oh, okay, it's not it, this is the personal I, this is not actually you, because the real you doesn't think of anything. And it's kind of like a respite. It's kind of like a holiday that I just get to go back into the silence. You know how calm and like peaceful that is? Like, peace is bliss, okay? Everybody wants peace. I'm telling you, peace comes from silence and silencing your mind. Okay, no thoughts can give you bliss. I can't. Like, even the thought of like, I'm peaceful. Why do you have to say that? If you're peaceful, why do you have to say that? Like, I don't have to say I'm breathing right now, right? Like, I'm breathing, I'm sitting, I'm talking. I'm just doing it. Okay, yoga is generally thought of stoic. Oh, interesting. Is it about renunciation of all that is false? Yeah, I guess are you talking about the Thomas, right? About the meditation thing. I have a question. What is the purpose of human life? Thank you, Zia. The purpose of human life. To live in your truth. I feel like it's always changing, Zia. You know, you could ask me one day and then another day and then another day. I don't know the right answer. I guess the purpose of life is to just be. Correct the man with always with solutions, indeed. Yeah, many months ago I was exercising every day and sleeping early, waking up early, but then I stopped following the routine for many months. Now when I'm trying to do the same, I feel pain. But it's probably because you know, obviously you weren't used to it and now you're getting back into it. It will feel difficult. Like, for example, I hadn't done yoga in weeks. Okay, and I was someone doing yoga every single day, and today I did it and it was painful, but I just pushed through it. You just have to push through. The pain is good. Okay, actually, you know what? Let me get that quote up. It's in Rera Sab. So Rera Sab is an afternoon a part that they do in Sikhism. They do it in the evening time. And I didn't even realize that this is what they said. So, okay. Suffering is the medicine and pleasure the disease, because where there is pleasure, there is no desire for God. So suffering is the medicine. So the fact that you're suffering through this, that you know, there is pain there, it's good for you. It's character building for you, right? You're pushing your body. You're showing how much control you can have over your mind and your body. Because when you exercise, it's control over the mind. Because the mind is like, oh my God, no, 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 it's too hard, I need to stop. But when you can overcome these things, you have a strong mind. Okay, hello, what do you teach here, ma'am? I teach about awakening your consciousness and the other things. That's why Osho talks about being in the presence of a guru. Being in their presence is more important than listening to them. Exactly, yes. Hi, Pratham. It's true, because you know, Greg, I was watching a documentary on Ananda Mai, right? And in the documentary, all these people are just sitting. She's quiet, she's just sitting, she's not saying anything, and the people are sitting, and I didn't get it. I was like, why would they just sit there? If I was there, I'd want to ask her questions, I'd want to know things, I'd want her to teach, and I would want to take notes. And that is me constantly wanting to fill my mind. It's me saying, I don't know, I don't trust that I already know what the path is, that I need to know something more. I need to fill myself up. But with these things, I'd be filling my mind up, right? Because how am I really fulfilling my soul? Like, this is a very spiritual path. How is it feeding my spirituality if I'm just feeding my mind? Does that make sense? So sitting in silence, now I get it. Because they just say it. with such a powerful, spiritually powerful individual whose frequency is so high, and then you probably relax so much further, and it is already within you, all the answers. This is you first. Welcome to my channel. Yes, Thomas. Hello, Priya. Hello, everyone. Hi, I remember your name. Everyone has their own purpose. Okay, what things about mind cult miss? Mind cult. Which mind cult? Okay, get it about spirituality. Yes, about spiritual life wants to expand. Oh, sorry, well, I'm behind in the comments. Purpose is a human construct of the mind. Here we are. Love that, Greg. Thinking about the future kills the present. Yes, of course. Thinking about the future is futile. The future doesn't even exist. The purpose of life may be about growth, learning, transcending ego, realizing a deeper connection with something beyond ourselves. But if you won't think about the future, then how would you start working for it? There is time. Okay, that's a good question. If you don't think about the future, how would you start working for it? Okay, Barth. So, with this, life has its own intelligence, okay? Trees don't think, yet they thrive, yet they grow. Grass doesn't think, yet it thrives, yet it grows. I don't think animals think. They're fine. They don't have to think about tomorrow. They're just trying to get through today. The future will take care of itself. When you are worried about the future, that is why you become anxious, because anxiety is fear of the future and depression is rumination on the past, neither of which are in your control. The only thing that you can control, the only thing that you should really be focused on, the only thing that would determine whether you are truly living your life to the fullest is being in the present moment. That's all you have. You know, when people say, oh, my life has just flown by. When you haven't been present in the moment, your life will fly by because you're on autopilot, because you are unconscious. If there was a point to life, it would be to be as conscious in every single moment as you can be. Because when you're unconscious, you are getting real-time data coming to you, okay? And then you're working with that. Then you have signs from the universe. The universe will push you, in a way, in a direction that is most aligned with you. It will bring you opportunities. It will give you signs. But when let's say I'm sitting here, I'm thinking about the past, right? Oh my God, that happened last year. Oh my God, I can't believe that happened to me. I can't believe that person said that to me. I can never forgive them. I can never let it go. And there are signs around me saying, Priya, look, do this. Priya, look, these are your gifts. Priya, go here. This opportunity here. I'm going to miss them all because I'm too busy thinking about the past. So you don't have to worry about the future. There is an intelligence that is far more intelligent than you. You are not intelligent. I am not intelligent. No one is that intelligent. You know why? Because the mind is not intelligent. The mind is very limited. The mind thinks in terms of lack. Okay, and the mind has thoughts, and thoughts are chaotic. Thoughts are unreliable. Thoughts are paranoid. Thoughts are maniacs. Have you ever just sat and listened to your thoughts? Oh, Greg's going, oh, see you, Greg. Thank you for joining, and take care. I hope you have a beautiful day too. Comment section of life extending. There is time for silence and time for speaking. Yes, there is. I read that to connect with yourself, there needs to be silence. And silence means silence. Silence doesn't mean let me listen to some music. Silence doesn't mean let me watch a movie. Silence doesn't mean let me talk to myself. Silence means just silence. You just sitting, right? If people started sitting with themselves more and listening to themselves, they would see the kind of things that go through their mind, and they would see why their life looks the way that it does. Because like Robert Adams says, people who are not conscious, right? People who are who are asleep, like the personal I is asleep. Obviously the who you are in reality can never be asleep. It's always awake. But the you that is asleep, wait, what was the point I was trying to make? To you that is asleep. Ah! Oh my god, I lost my point. Something about silence. You see? The mind, completely unreliable. How far are we from Allah, Creator, High Energy? Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani was asked this question. Answered that we are one step away from the Creator. We are the Creator. Hello, Sage Sabji. Hello, Sukiji. The mind works in opposition, dividing and ranking everything. The universe is not in division. Exactly. Exactly. The universe is everything, you know? You are everybody. You are everything. When you go into deep states of meditation, you can access that. You can feel that you are everything because you go beyond the body. Because you realize that you are appearing in consciousness. Consciousness is not appearing in you. So my body is not the source of consciousness. It is not like there's only consciousness within me and there's no consciousness outside of me. Consciousness is everywhere, right? Let me draw this again because I like to, I think drawing it makes sense. Okay, I did draw it before, but we'll go again. Okay, so that's me. Am I even educated? No, I have never been educated in my life. So I might think that I am the source of consciousness. Okay, we'll just draw consciousness like a wave. I am not the source of consciousness though. Consciousness is everywhere. Okay, let's just say this is what consciousness is. Obviously consciousness is not matter, but for the sake of conversation, so I am appearing in consciousness. The body appears in consciousness. The body is not the source of consciousness. Does that make sense? So what happens is when you get to a deep state of meditation, you can almost detach from your body. You feel a sense of lightness. You feel that, okay, because what you do is you're going to like into a meditative state, right? And then you'll feel the body. So you'll kind of refrain from feeling the body, like the outline of your body. What you'll do instead is you'll kind of feel the sensations, just sensations appearing in consciousness. And then eventually your consciousness will expand outside of you. And then you'll realize that, well, I'm not just a body. You know, Osho said, so Osho was meditating on a tree when he was 21, and that is when he reached spiritual enlightenment. And the thing that helped him reach spiritual enlightenment was that he left his body. When you can leave your body, when your consciousness can leave your body, you realize, whoa, okay, I'm not my body. You know, there's so much more to life than just the body, because we think the body and the mind is absolute, but it's absolutely not absolute. Okay. It has been a while, Suki. But I'm back. When we throw that false ego to the ground on a lower level and step on it, that is the moment you connect to the inner energy and whatever you call it. Yeah. Are you even? No, I'm not educated. How can I remain conscious the whole 24/7? But a way that you can do that is self-inquiry. So it would be asking, like when you have a thought, like I said, I am tired, I'm happy, I'm cold, I need to shower, I need to eat, I need to do this. Ask yourself, who is this I? Who's this I? Is that who you really are? Because that is the personal I, right? That is Parth. Parth, the body. Parth, the mind is tired. Parth, the body and mind needs food. He needs to shower. But who you really are doesn't need food. It doesn't feel sad. It doesn't feel happy. It doesn't feel anything. And constantly connecting to that part, like, oh, okay, you know, and being connected to that source of I am. So it's something that you can do when you go to bed, when you go to sleep. This is a great activity. When you're just about to wake up, the first thought you have is, what you need to say is, let me read it to you. Something you can write down as well. What you need to say is, I am going to identify with my source, I am. Because every sentence that you start talking about yourself, it's I am, right? I am Priya, I am 28, I am this, I am that. I am is the source. It comes before anything. Because if I was really Priya, why would I say I am Priya? I would just say Priya, right? Happy. I want to say I am happy, I am sad. I just like happy, sad. Does that make sense? I tried meditating the other day by closing my eyes. I fell asleep. Is that a bad sign? It's not a bad sign. It happens. It's when you're not used to, meditating. Meditation is a muscle. It's something that takes time. It takes practice. It's like going to the gym. So don't give up. The body is the instrument, but not the sound. Oh my God, I love that. That's amazing. But you can remain conscious 24/7, but first you have to search for Sheikh, Guru, spiritual guide. It is a process. You can, of course, those things help, but self-inquiry. Self-inquiry, self-inquiry, self-inquiry. I don't have a spiritual guru. I don't have a sheikh. I don't have a guide, because I am everything. I am the guide that I'm seeking. That makes sense? There is only oneness. There is only God. The body is like a node of consciousness, like a radio that can tune into a frequency. It has the ability to change the channel, but consciousness is not changed. Very true. I have a busy life. I can't get time for to search for these people. When I feel tired, I want something that is pleasing or comforting. But honestly, just do the self-inquiry. That is not going to require you to go searching anything outside of you, because you already have everything inside of you. You already have a part of you that is always conscious. There's a part of you that's always listening, and what you need to do is constantly connect back to that part of you. Life is a polarity between the story in the world and your inner understanding of yourself. The world we may deceive, manipulate to our benefit. However, the inner self is more substantial as the sea. Of course, of course. Everything comes through the inner world. The outer world is just Maya. It's an illusion. It's literally an illusion. It's really interesting now because, there's a certain state that people who are gurus, who are fakirs, like look at Sadhguru, right? Like everybody knows Sadhguru. He just looks so happy. He looks so blissful. He looks so like at ease with himself, right? And who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want that? We all want that. And then it makes you think, what does he know that I don't know? The difference is he embodies these teachings. We can know these teachings intellectually, but whether we embody them is the difference between feeling blissful and peaceful and connected and not feeling connected. Because you can sit here and you can read all the books about spirituality, you can watch all the videos on spirituality, you can listen to a guru, whatever it is, but if you don't embody what that person is teaching you, what the books are teaching you, because look, it's beyond the mind. So embodiment is the most important thing. The mind can only go so far. The mind is very, very limiting. Consciousness is far more expansive. Of course, yes. It does take a lot longer sometimes when you don't have a guru. You can get there faster because these people are people who've been there, themselves, and they can tell you how to do that. I do have a guru. I'm really interested. And how would one find one? Like, do you go out and search for one? Like, what's the process? Will I just trust that one will come to me? I don't know. Let me know. Hello, Punjabi Guru. Where were you? Hi. I was busy. I'm so sorry. I'm back now. Yes, Barth. It is about correcting yourself. It is about understanding. The thing is, look, you're not going to correct the thought like, oh, actually, okay, yeah. So, Barth, let's say you have a thought that's like, I feel tired or I am unhappy. Then what you would do is say, okay, who is this I? Is this who I truly am? Is this my true nature that is, infinite, that is beyond everything, that doesn't feel anything, that is never tired, that is never unhappy? Or is this Barth, the small I? And then what you'll realize, Barth, it's the small I. And then you can be like, oh, okay, that's not actually me. That's not my reality. That is not my truth. That is not the truth of who I am in my essence. And then you go back to who you really are. And then you go back to who you really are. Because there is a part of you that is always conscious. There is a part of you that is always watching, okay? And you just need to constantly connect. Keep going, Beth. Connect, connect, connect. Feeding wrath and turning it into fuel is easier. Interesting. It is beyond the physical knowledge, bookish knowledge, and this is where real spirituality starts. That is very true. That is very true. Read I Am That. They answer so many of these questions about finding a guru. If you question everything in the world as your guru. Wow. Wow. Thomas, I love that. You know, let me write that down. I Am That. Okay, there's a book. It's a book, right? I Am That. Okay. Oh my god, we need to finish this book. Okay, I Am That book. Tells you about finding a guru. Okay. There is no correct or wrong in spirituality. If we talk about the stages that happened earlier, it means we are repeating that. Interesting. Okay. I thank you, Thomas, for that. I will definitely find that. You know, Thomas, I've been reading, like I was discussing the Robert Adams book, and it was really interesting. I've never heard that take before. Let me go into some of the things that he was mentioning. Okay. Okay, so obviously nothing comes from consciousness. Everything is consciousness, right? So, you know, the I, the true I, is never sick. It is never bad, good, poor, rich. I is consciousness, right? When you say I am Priya, for example. I is God. It is pure awareness. Whenever you speak of I, you are speaking of God, not your body or your small self. Thus, you would never say, I am sick, unhappy, sad, happy. Catch yourself anytime you say that, okay? Catch yourself anytime you start a sentence with I. When people realize that everything belongs to God because I, me, and mine are incorrect, then they find it so easy to share, right? Because it's no longer mine, me. Eventually you realize that there is no mind to quiet. You don't have to meditate. You can, but there's no need. Because if you believe that you have work to do, something to overcome, some kind of effort needs to be made, then it will be hard. It is the ego that makes the effort. When there's one thing to overcome, then your mind will find more and more. Let's say you're an alcoholic. You know, for example, there was someone who smoked weed, right? And they said they stopped smoking weed. And then, you know, he was like, oh, I stopped smoking weed, but now I feel unhappy. See, you see? So the mind will always find different things for you to work on. It is the personal I that gives you trouble. Self-inquiry will lead you to the realization that the personal I does not exist. How can the self awaken if it never went to sleep? There is no practice. There is no God. It's interesting because he said there is God earlier, but I kind of get what he's talking about. There is no enlightenment. There is no you. You are free. You are unhurtable because you do not exist. You are not the body, mind, or your thoughts. Your essence pervades everything. Everything that appears to be going on for you is for your ultimate good. Okay? Yeah. I think maybe read the book because the way that he structured it is really well, like the way he explains things. Obviously, these are just notes that I've made, but they make me feel really at ease. Sounds like a book from a realized person similar to the I Am That. Yeah, I think it is. He just makes it sound really easy. Like I felt much more ease now knowing what I know from him. You know, at first I'd be like, oh, I have to meditate, I have to do mantra, I have to do this, I have to do that. And now I told myself I'm going to give myself a week to just not do any of that, you know, and to focus on self-inquiry and see how that works. Because it's interesting, self-inquiry helps you stay conscious all the time. It's not just, oh, I'll be conscious when I'm you know, meditating or I'm doing mantra. It's no, I'm doing it all the time. Of a quality spiritual teaching. Okay, it is, right? He's really cool. He's really cool. I believe he was with Ramana Maharshi. What do you mean by you are that? Because I know it. Can you share it in words? What do you mean? What do you mean by... The book is called Silence of the Heart. What do you mean by you are that? Because I know it. Can you share it in words? You are, as in like, or that, are you talking about the book, I Am That? You're gonna have to clarify. I don't know. But yeah, like I said, it's been, chill. What's your level of consciousness from Omega scale? Oh my god, let me see. I don't know. The personal I or the real I? Because the real I mean, through the roof. I'm kidding. I don't know if that's a way of describing it. Like, are you asking, do you see that there's a difference between Priya, the personal I, where my mind will make a decision like, oh, Priya, you're at this level of consciousness because of so and so, or what is my truth? My reality of who I am as a conscious being. There are no levels. It's just consciousness. No, I'm saying when you say I am that, please share it. Okay, so you know, let me get, I want to share it because just give me a second. Okay, so when we talk about I am, it points to your sense of being. It's your beingness, existence and awareness. For example, only a person that exists, who is being, would say I am. Like someone who's dead wouldn't talk and say I am, you know. Does that make sense? I don't know if that's a great way to explain it, but I hope it's making sense. It's your existence, it's your beingness, it's your essence of life, right? And just that, it's not followed by I am doing a live. It's I am before I am doing anything. Does that make sense? You know, so it would be like it's something that exists before adding any labels. For example, I am a woman, I am a coach, I am sad. I am comes before any of that. Because the pure I am is your true self. It's your Atman. It's stripped of all conditioning. It is the same as Brahman, which is universal consciousness. So your I am is universal consciousness. It is the truth. It is who you are before anything. I feel like the language aspect of it makes it a little bit difficult to explain. It's your core essence, you know, the fact that you exist before thought. When you abide in I am without attaching it to body or mind, you discover that this I am is the same I am in everyone and everything. There is only one self. I hope that makes sense. Beingness, like, is there anything inside of you or not? Let's make it easy. Is there any? Well, there's consciousness, but consciousness is nothing. In terms of matter, anyway. I am before I am this, or I am that. Let me know if that makes sense. For example, when you say, I am happy, happiness comes and goes, but the I am remains. When you say, I am tired, tiredness passes, but the I am doesn't disappear. If you strip away all the temporary states, what remains is the pure I am. So when I told you, ask yourself, is it the small self that is saying, I am tired, I am happy? Because these states are temporary, but the real you is just I am, right? And that I am isn't anything. It doesn't have any label attached to it. It doesn't have any state attached to it. When you say I am, that there is no body, no mind included. No, there isn't. When you say I am, there is no body or mind included in this, because you are not body or mind. You're beyond that. So, you know, I am feeling tired would be something regarding your body, right? Or I feel happy would be something maybe regarding your mind. Like you have that thought like, oh, I feel happy. But it's always I am, right? The I am, the beingness comes before any of that. Tiredness, well, the tiredness and stuff is something that is in your body, right? And you have to go beyond the body. Like I said, you are more than your body. But we live through the body, so I'm not saying that the body isn't important. You know, one thing Robert says is that, you know, people make an effort to look after their bodies, but he said once you become very clear, you know, in your sense of I amness, and you live from that point, he said the body will take care better, it will take better care of itself than you ever could. So you don't need to worry about thinking about, how am I going to take care of my body? How am I going to do this? What am I going to do tomorrow? What am I going to do next year? There is a supreme intelligence that exists that will take care of everything itself. You don't need to do anything. The thing is, what you need to do is just allow the energy to flow through you, right? You step out of the way. The small self steps out of the way. That is not to say that you become lazy or you just sit around and do nothing. The energy will naturally want to flow through you, right? It's float, don't swim. Just allow yourself to float through life. Go with the current, the energy flow. The body's like a cage for I am. That's why we have these, yes, exactly. It is kind of a cage, you know? It just teaches us different things, you know? But we are blessed. Of course we're blessed. We are. So, you know, people can sit and meditate for like 10 to 20 minutes and go about their day and kind of lose that sense of focus and clarity. But when you have self-inquiry, when you compare all of them up, right, you can have the self-inquiry with meditation, then I think you become more powerful. But also remember, there's no way you're trying to get to. You're not trying to awaken anything. It's effortlessness. You already are. You know, I already am. I am. I don't need to do anything. Soul said, take me out of this cage. Body's a cage and soul entered into it. Wow. You know, this is why people who are not connected to the truth, right? Like, we're discussing the truth here, right? About the Atma, about universal consciousness, about beingness, and feeling connected to yourself and feeling connected to that universal consciousness. Well, a lot of people experience a lot of suffering in their life because they're not connected to this universal consciousness. Because somewhere deep in their hearts, in their souls, you know, they can feel that there's a separation now, because there's a sense of separationness, right? Like a separation that you feel. That is why you want to, you know, be in community. You want to have a romantic partner. You want to have friends. You want to have family. You want to be with these people because it reminds you of oneness. And that is what we're all trying to get back to. But you can feel that. You don't have to go anywhere outside of you. You just have to connect to yourself and feel that. Connect to the larger part of you. Allow the ego, you know, and the mind, like step outside the body and the mind, kind of, and know that it's not absolute. Let me draw it. Okay, so how would I draw the ego? Okay, I'm gonna draw it like this. To be honest, I wanted to draw a side profile, but I don't know how to. Okay, so let's look at it this way, okay? This is you. This is the small self, okay? This is the ego. That's right. Priya. Okay, look, this is a small self, okay? She's Priya, she's 28, she's a coach, okay? This is the true self. It's nothing. It doesn't have any labels, it doesn't have any states, it doesn't have any emotions, it doesn't have any likes, it doesn't have any dislikes, it doesn't feel pleasure, it doesn't feel pain, nothing like that, right? And this is God, okay? This is what we label God. This is universal consciousness, right? And so I need to like not mute, I was gonna say mutilate, not mutilate, but I need to surpass this Priya. So this Priya will say, I am tired, I am hungry, I am sad, I am unhappy, I feel good, I don't feel good, I feel rich, I feel poor, right? Universal consciousness doesn't say that. It doesn't say any of these things. It doesn't feel good, it doesn't feel bad, it doesn't feel poor, it doesn't feel rich. It is everything. So, anytime you have a thought, I am sad, I am unhappy, you need to ask yourself, is this Priya saying this? Or is this universal conscious saying it? Because universal consciousness would never say anything like that. Like I said, it doesn't feel anything. So when you constantly in every moment, okay, who's saying this? Who's saying this? Who's saying this? You know, bring yourself back to your truth. This is your truth. Okay? This is your truth. This is who you are. When you can rest in this universal consciousness, this Atma, right? This I amness of just being, it just exists. Because before you say I am sad, before you say I am sad, you say I am, right? This is the I am. So you need to constantly connect with the I am. The thing is, you are the I am. You are the existence. So it's about ridding yourself of any labels that come after that. The sense of separation is important because it reminds us of the union. Whether you do with your consciousness, agree. There is poetry. I remember of Allama Iqbal, सितारों से आगे जहां और भी ये you'll be sorry सितारों से आगे जहां और भी है अभी इश्क के इम्तिहान और भी है. I love that. I love your whiteboard, Miss Priya. Thank you, Thomas. When we were in the spiritual world, everybody, that's why we feel separation, because we're on this world. Exactly. But the thing is, you can feel oneness again by knowing that this is an illusion, that this is a Maya, that you're not actually separate, that you are everything. You know, Brahm Gyanis, people who are very spiritually enlightened, they're very kind, they're very compassionate, they're very giving, they're very caring, they share, right? Why? Because they realize everything is me. Like, you know, Ananda Mamai, who is an enlightened being that I talk about sometimes frequently, she, you know, people said to her, do you not get annoyed? Like, there are so many hundreds of people all the time coming to you with their problems. How do you have the energy? And she said, you know, they are all important to me as if they were all a part of my body, like as if they were all a body part of mine. Because look, you care for your hands, right? You care for your hands, you care for your legs, you care for your head, your ears, you care for all of you because it is you. But when you expand yourself, like when you get to this state of expansiveness where your perspective is, I am everything, then everyone is your concern. You care about everybody. You show compassion to everybody, regardless of if that person is being mean to you, they're robbing you, they're manipulating you, they're hurting you, because they are you. You don't get mad. You don't take it personally. Of course, you know, nowadays people will say, oh, it's difficult to be like that. How can you be like that? But what is your aim? Okay? What is your aim? This is what I always say. Like, what are your standards for your life? What do you feel like is possible? Because for me, well, I'll tell you, me, the personal Priya, you know, me, if there was a scale, just give me a second whilst I try to write backwards. Oh wait, this okay, does that say enlightened? Okay, it says enlight. Okay, enlightened. Oh gosh, I may as well write out. Ah, enlightened. Okay. Okay. Look, this is okay. So, and then this could be like a normal person. Okay. Okay. It's like your normal person, your average Joe. Who are you aiming to be like? Are you aiming to have the kind of way of thinking and the mindset and the perspective of someone who's enlightened? Like, is that your aim in life? Or just a normal Joe who lives in life? You know? Then you would say, of course, it's not okay. It's not normal to be compassionate to everybody, Priya. But okay, who are you aiming to be? Who is your role model in life? Because when your role model is someone who's enlightened, they think like that, right? They treat everybody as if they are an aspect of themselves. Yeah, it's like when the drop goes into the ocean, it becomes the ocean. Exactly. And the thing is, we don't need to go into the ocean because we were never separate from the ocean. We just need to know that we are the ocean in every moment. What does your tattoo say? It says fearless. It says nirpo. It's gurmukhi. Yeah, nirpo. Wish I was fearless. I fear heights. Okay. Your the personal self, the small self, right, is fearful. Who you really are is not fearful. God is not fearful. Universal consciousness has no fear. There is nothing other than universal consciousness. Let me ask you this. If the only thing that existed in life was you, would you be scared? Is there anything to fear? Because the only thing we fear is something outside of us, right? But if there was nothing outside of us and you could never die, would you be scared? You wouldn't, right? So that is the truth. There is nothing outside of you and you can never die because the body will die, but the body's not absolute. You can never be hurt because the soul is indomitable. Consciousness is indomitable. Consciousness and the unconscious are in struggle for our destinies. Hunger, lust, attention, security, etc. are the unconscious evolutionary drives. Consciousness is much harder to describe but free. That's true. So hunger, lust, attention, security, these are all things to do with your lower chakras, right? And we will remain unconscious if we stay further down here. When we bring up the energy towards our heart, the third eye, our crown chakra, then we can step towards like out of that. Because when you realize the truth of life, when you realize that this is all a game, it's an illusion, then why would you feel all these things? You know, you begin to embody the truth. That is what we need to do. Everyone fears heights. You just fear dying, no? Falling and dying, got it now, okay. That's you were saying at this level because you understand for yeah. I get that, I get that. So, you know, I talk about things that I talk in a way where I think everybody gets what I'm saying. And understands it. But if you don't get something, please ask me. Like, you know, I'm more than happy to explain things um yeah. Makes me feel dizzy, well that isn't good. I don't do, but isn't it your duty to live a meaningful life, like fulfilling a role that you're born in? You know, good old Lord Greg said something really cool. He said purpose and a meaningful life is just a concept of the mind. Your life, that's meaningful already. Animals, like I have a cat. Okay, sometimes I joke about with her and I say, you know, if I'm like cleaning or something, I'll say, oh my god, why don't you clean? Why don't you help me with the chores, you know? And it's really funny. And I'll look at her and be like, oh my god, like what it would be to live like you know, you don't have to do anything. You know, but that doesn't mean her life isn't meaningful because she isn't doing the chores or she isn't doing anything meaningful. Everything is neutral. We label things meaningful. People may say this, what I'm doing here is meaningful. Someone may say it's not meaningful. You being alive is meaningful. You being is meaningful. we live in a capitalistic, consumerist, capitalist society, patriarchal society where, you know, you have to earn your worth and you have to be productive, right? And attain this and attain this and attain this to live a meaningful life. But I feel like meaningful, if there was to be a sense of meaningful, it would be the love that you share, you know, the love that you give and you receive. I feel like love is the most meaningful thing. I feel nothing else just hides. What about when you look up? Oh, do you feel heights or spinning ahead makes you dizzy? Just think about it. How do you look up? Wow, the sun affects your eyes. Oh no. There's still an idea of living an orderly, clean, one manage loving ourselves and others. This is true. I feel like that will kind of happen naturally when you're aligned with yourself. You will naturally live an orderly life, right? Because chaos comes when you're not aligned with your true self. It comes from confusion of who you really are. And loving yourself will be natural because you are all that is. And it's loving yourself beyond the personal eye. Like, oh, Priya, you know, I could say in the mirror, Priya, I love the way you look. I love this. I love this. I love the when you do this. Rather than, Priya, I just love you. Without adding any labels to it. I love you because I am love. You are love. And that's all I know how to feel. Does that make sense? Hi, yes, I'm back. There is a Persian Sufi thing. Dilba yar dast bakar. Dilba yar dast bakar. Heart with the beloved and hands into work. Wow, somebody was saying that's why we don't have to leave the spiritual world of work. You can do work and be spiritual. Of course. You know, life is spiritual. You are a spiritual being. You are never not spiritual. You just have to be aware of yourself. That's it. Awareness is spirituality. So I guess the more aware you are of yourself, the more... Everybody is spiritual, though. Whether you have that understanding or not, that's just your nature. Whether your mind has that understanding or not of these concepts, and whether you embody them is a completely different story, I guess. But that's the personal I, right? That's a small I. Your big I is spiritual. These are sort of simple but profound things, I agree. Say, Priya, I just love you. Oh, thank you. Yes, right actions will follow the right mind. I want to transform my life. I need fresh blood. Where and how to start? Okay, the best place to start is yourself. Change yourself. Well, not even change yourself. Become more conscious. The more conscious you are, oh my god, the more your life will transform. Travel Diaries, India. I forgot your name. Can you remind me of your name, please? But yeah, consciousness is the most important thing, because then you bring energy back into you, right? You have more energy available to you. And then you have more of a presence to look at your life and look at your thoughts and be like, oh, okay, I've been thinking these thoughts. Oh, are they okay? Are they aligned with my best self, with my higher self? Is this where I want to go? Is it my personal self? Is it who I really am? You know? Thank you, Mayor. Embody even your work. Don't sacrifice a drop of your life. Accept the work that needs to be done. Embrace it. Easier said than done. Yes. Thank you, Deepak. Thank you for telling me your name. Thanks for the chat, everyone. I'm going offline now. Bye. Bye, Thomas. So good to have you. Yeah, you know, be grateful for everything. Embrace everything. Like Wade said. Accept everything. Your suffering comes from non-acceptance. You know, you have to understand that God is all there is. Anything that happens is due to God. And you kind of just go with the flow. Like, you go with the flow of life. We can't control things, even when we try to. It's so futile. It's such a waste of energy. It's pathetic. You know, it's really funny. Robert was saying in his book, he was saying how, you know, there was this guy who was telling him about how he goes to the gym and he does this workout and he does this workout and he does this and that. And then Robert said, oh, great, at least you look good in your grave. And it was really interesting because it's the whole thing about Monopoly, right? The whole aspect of you winning in this life is like you winning at Monopoly. It's meaningless. Yeah, you can have a good body, you can look good. Biotic. But what's it all for? What are you looking good for? Where are you gonna go? Where are you gonna take this body of yours? You're gonna leave it behind. When you reach the level of awareness, that's where Shamas Fakir said, tree without roots and that divine spark in you. Interesting. Peace be upon him. I've never heard of Shamas Fakir. G. And a tree without roots, that's very interesting. Concept. I just thought you needed to be very rooted. Ma'am, what transformed your life? What transformed my life? What transformed my life? When I started investing in myself. Okay, that was a really old answer because obviously it's been a while since then. I allow loads of things to transform me. I allow books to transform me. I allow things people say to transform me. So I'm going through transformation all the time. But I would say the thing that has transformed me the most is when I realized that life is far more expansive than, and far more magical than what I was led to believe. Almost like I had hints of realizing that life was an illusion. The life that I had been living was a lie. That's what helped transform me the most. And that's something that helps me transform all the time when I go back to that truth of, this is just fake. This is not real, you know? Priya is Lady Damon Salvatore. And why is that? You can control things, you just have to stay on the correct lane. Once you switch lanes, the bad falls. Oh, it's Deepak. Oh, okay. You change YouTube channels. Accounts. Once you switch lanes. Yeah, of course. It's it wouldn't even be, I don't know if I'd call it control. You don't need control. Control is reaching outside of you. It is reaching beyond yourself. When you are totally within you, when you're totally immersed in your inner world, there is no need to control. Because you're okay with uncertainty. You're okay with the unknown. And you know, the feminine is the unknown, right? The feminine is uncertainty. And the feminine and the masculine are one because there is only one. Be positive always, that life was there to teach you something. You're here now. Exactly. Life, if you can go through life believing that it is wholly benign, so very kind, and that everything that happens is for your benefit, doesn't it make life easier? Doesn't it make life so much more enjoyable than thinking life is against you? Because life will be against you if you believe that. You have much more power in life than you know. You have all the power, in fact, because you are everything. But it is the small self that believes that it doesn't. So the small self will try to control, because control comes when you have a sense of powerless within. So there are parents, right? There are parents who are very controlling of their children. Like I was reading that book, The Anatomy of Spirit, and there was this lady who used to control her children because she emotionally depended on her children, right? She didn't have any power of herself. So what she would do is she would always talk down to her kids. She would never let her kids feel confident enough to leave her. And she would take their power from them in that sense. She would make them powerless and make them dependent upon her. That's what tends to happen in dynamics where there is someone who is abusing someone, right? And the thing is, when you try to take your power from something outside of you, you are still rendered powerless. You don't get more power. When you enter into spirituality, remember, there is no right or wrong. That's true. That's why some were saying, I can't do this because they have not tasted the spirituality. Well, I know some men with anorexia, they gym and get bigger, but they never feel secure. Muscles, money, guns, so these are superficial attempts of controlling life. The feeling is inside there. It's the root. Yes, Wade, completely so true. You know, it's objective experiences. You believe that you believe that you will be fulfilled through objective experiences, but that is not the truth. An objective experience, which is an experience outside of you, can never, ever, 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 ever fulfill you. It doesn't matter how much money you have, what kind of body you have, what status, achievement, success, girlfriend, wife, car, clothes, whatever you have, it is, it's winning at Monopoly. It's not going to give you anything. All the hardship is a blessing for you to mend your ways, and also I see as a reminder, yes, suffering is the medicine, right? Suffering is the medicine. I saw your videos. You have a twin sister. You both look exactly the same. Yes, I do. Yeah, I do have a twin sister. It is like I saw honey to Priya. Why I said this is the only knowledge, but when you taste the real honey on your honey, that's where you get the real thing. Yeah, I love that. It's like, how do you explain what salt tastes like to someone with no taste buds, right? How do I explain what honey tastes like with no taste buds? You have to develop those subtle senses to be able to taste the feeling of the infinite, you know, that like taste that essence almost. And it is, of course, it's very difficult to explain to someone who just hasn't had that. That's why listening and reading and all of these things can only take you so far. It's about experiential learning, doing it for yourself. I can only tell you that so many things because I've experienced things, you know. I've gone to states in meditation. I wouldn't be able to explain these things to you if I hadn't experienced them in meditation or in my life or had moments of self-awareness. If I say fire, I am saying it, but the tongue, but we have to take that fire, charcoals on your hand, that is the spiritual start. Exactly. So is perception everything just subjective? Is there nothing objective? There is something objective, Sangram. That's a really good question. There is. It's different ways of looking at it, you know, and the thing is, it depends from who you look at it through. Because the personal you, the personal small I, right? The Sangram, who is a particular age, or Priya, who's a particular age from a particular ethnicity, who does a particular thing, will have a particular subjective perception. But who I am truly, that will be the objective one. Does that make sense? The observer has the objective perception. Whereas Priya will have a subjective perception based upon her experiences in life. I'm sharing one more thing. Okay. Something that everyone can experience right from the very beginning. Yeah, not all twins are the same. You know, people always ask me, are you guys identical or not identical? And I don't know the answer because it wasn't like someone at birth said they're identical. I guess you just have to look. But the thing is, everybody has a different perspective on it because some people think we are and some people think we're not. It's subjective. Okay, if I say to you, I hear from my eyes and see from my ears, Shamas Fakir, can you share your vision on this? Try. I hear from my eyes, I see from my ears. I get to see, are you asking me to share my vision on this? I can see why you would say see from my ears, because when you listen, you see everything. Literally everything, which I get it. It can be confusing to people, but you see everything, you know? Because you hear yourself. You know, you see the mind. And its antics. Hear from my eyes. I don't get the hear from my eyes. I've never thought about that one. Would you consider identical twins as a proof of the soul, even with the same root DNA? Identical systems? Yeah. Yeah, for sure, exactly. We're very unique, you know, and I think sometimes people would think that we are the same person. and we would get treated as a unit, but we're very different people. Of course we are. We're not one. We have different bodies. We have different minds. We have different souls, you know? But we are one, like the true essence. Like the small prayer is not one. What are my thoughts on Friedrich Nietzsche? I haven't really read too much into Nietzsche, but I think I liked him. But yeah. One has to come first in 1 second. Do crystal bracelets work? Hi Guru. Kumlish. One has to come first. That's very true. My thoughts on crystal bracelets. Okay, crystal bracelets. They work if you think they work. I mean, they emit a particular frequency, right? I don't know. I guess, you know, I saw this post that was like a spiritual starter pack, and it had a picture of bracelets and all these like incense and stuff like that, and then it says real spirituality, and it just has nothing. And I feel like that's where I'm at, like kind of just like nothing. Like I have these things, I have crystals and stuff, but I am everything. I don't need anything, you know. I am like, I just am. Am I Sikh? I don't identify with a particular religion, but I do love Sikhism. Hi, the listener. Light waves come from low frequencies to higher frequencies. Do I think that promiscuous people have a corrupted soul? No, I don't. Because your soul cannot be, I don't know if your soul can be corrupted, but how does someone reverse that or repent that? Okay, look, people tend to be promiscuous because you have to zoom out, okay? You have to look at life. You have to look at the society in which we live in. What are the messages that we are getting about life, about sex, okay, about sexuality? And then you have to look at, okay, what did this person go through? Did they go through sexual trauma, sexual abuse? When you go through these things when you're young, and they can be anything. It could be a family member touching you and abusing you. It could be being exposed to porn very early on. It could be anything, okay? Trauma has many forms, many faces. So when things like this happen when you're very young, you naturally become hypersexual, or you become the opposite. You run away from that. So that's one of the reasons why people become promiscuous. Do I think that they have done something wrong and that they need to be punished or repent? No, I don't think so. I think what they need to do is align themselves again and become healthy in the way that they are. Does that make sense? They're not bad people. They're just people who are not, like, if they knew better, they would do better. Simple as that. Okay? Have you ever observed your eyes? They are also like a drop and they drink the whole sea like this world. Wow. Jeez. That's very deep. My mom would love you. She loves like Sufism and like fiqh and stuff like that. My background sheet. Thank you. It's the tapestry. Does the same thing. Goes on about bye. Lendl Singh. Soul is mercy. You have to reach the ego for understanding it. Okay, I'll go say here. Okay, guys, I'm gonna call it a day. It's been fun. I'll be back soon. Don't worry. Thank you so much for joining. Yeah, I'm wishing you a blessed day. Bye. Yes. Okay. Gotta go. Bye. See you.